So I was born and raised in New York. My origins are, my ethnic origin is Armenian on my father's side and Italian on my mother's side. And I have dual nationality. My wife is Italian, so I lived in Italy for 10 years. I also am an Italian citizen. So I guess I would really consider myself a citizen of the world. When I was in high school, French was my worst subject. And I was really, really bad in French. And I was convinced up until the age of like 15 that I could never learn another language until I went to Turkey with my father took us on to Turkey on this roots trip. And I heard my father speaking Turkish, or another language, for the first time. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. He could talk to people in another language. It's like, I wish I could do that. And but I remember thinking, I'm 15, it's too late. And it was and then a few years later, I decided to learn Italian. I began because of my dad. He was learning Italian. And then once I started with Italian, it was, I guess I got the language bug, and that was my first foreign language. And then I just started adding other ones as I went along. So it's been about, ever since I was 20. So whenever we learn something new, our brain is forming new connections. It's forming actually new neural maps across multiple areas of our brain. And that's exactly what happens when we learn a language. We're forming new associations, new maps across our brain. And actually, language learning is a very good way of maintaining a healthy brain. So I don't want to, do a spoiler for my talk, but there are a lot of connections between language learning and the brain. So people usually, so I don't specifically coach people in language learning. I'm coaching people for either professional, a professional change. It's always about someone who wants to make a change in their life. So what we do is we set two or three really inspiring goals. Usually 2 goals in a person's professional life and 1 goal in their personal life. Things tend to be interrelated. And so, I've worked with people who are entrepreneurs, I've worked with artists, I've worked with students, I've worked with managers. And it's all about making a meaningful change, helping the person to have insights, to take action, and to develop new habits. I think the language learning helps. Well, I've coached people in other languages and other cultures, so I think that's certainly helped that I can actually coach people, not just in English, but the coaching engagement could be in English or Italian or Spanish as well. And actually, I originally got into coaching through language learning. I originally started, I did a training in language coaching to coach people in learning languages. And what I discovered by doing that was that my real passion was in coaching people and making changes in their lives. So that's languages got me into executive coaching and life coaching. So I've worked in Italy, I've worked in Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, the US, and obviously in the world we live in now, which is a virtual world, I've worked with people in other countries as well, even though I'm physically in North America. I find people are open to coaching everywhere. There's an idea that some Europeans have told me, coaching is really popular in the US, but here in Europe it's not, and that's not really the case. Most of my clients actually are European, so I think that people everywhere are interested in coaching. I think in some countries it's, particularly in Anglo-Saxon countries, I think coaching is where, or at least executive coaching got its start. There's more of a, people know more about it, but I think that there's also a desire for coaching in many different countries. So I discovered the polyglot community like 3 years ago. I went to the Polyglot conference in New York, and I found out about Langfest there. I actually came to Langfest last year. I had a great time. It's my second time.
And the first time you came as a participant?
Yeah, the first time I came as a participant, and then I gave a talk at the Polyglot gathering in Bratislava, and I've also posted some of my talks on YouTube. And Joey from Langfest invited me to give the same talk here in Montreal. I gave an Italian language version of my talk in Bratislava, and now this is going to be an English language version, which will be easier for me. So.
Which language
So obviously English, yeah, English. So I will give you in order of from best to worst. Obviously English, Italian's my second language, then French, Spanish, Portuguese. I also speak. I'm learning Armenian and German. I'm also learning Creole, which is a pidgin language from Sierra Leone in Africa. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, Stephen.
Yeah. Thank you.